you may be. And before we start, just can you check to make sure that your phone's silent so it doesn't everybody. And as
You're breaking up. I can hardly hear you.
To acknowledge country.
You're breaking up. I can.
Okay,
hear you
can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
That's better, but you are breaking up, and your picture's breaking up.
Oh,
your sound is breaking up.
Is it for you, Craig, or is it for you? Dean, is it for you? Is it for you, Mark?
It's a bit distorted. You're a bit distorted, Liz.
Yep, Sam.
Okay. Okay.
I can hear you.
Did you get that, Daniel?
Yeah, you're a little bit crackly. You're
Doesn't
better
matter
now
if you
than when
can't
you
see
first
me,
started.
just so long as you can hear.
That was clear.
Okay. Can you hear me?
That's better now, yes.
Yeah.
Clearer now.
All right. So what we will do now is acknowledge country. And on behalf of all present, I acknowledge the Dunghutti people, the original inhabitants of this ancient land, and pay our respects to the Dunghutti and the Thunghutti people of this area. So welcome to Public
Breaking up
Forum.
again.
Public Forum relates to representation on agenda item matters for the ordinary meeting of Council, which will be held tomorrow at 9 a.m. For this meeting, we have updated our COVID-19 practices to conform with the current orders that are in place. Teams. So please don't speak until you're acknowledged. Please be patient. We need to take our time. And for this meeting, I think we need to use the hand that is the icon if you want to speak. Can we just have a practice on that? So you know where the hand is. If you just hit the hand, it will come up on my screen and it'll have a circle around it. Know who to speak. Just the same as we use our lights. Thank you, Mark. That's a good practice. Thank you, Leo. Dean, do you want to practice that?
Liz, I haven't found it yet. Where's on the keyboard?
Okay, up the very top, you'll see on the right-hand side, there's three icons. It's the third one along.
Oh, up there. Okay, thank you. I didn't know.
Yes. And then when you hit it again, it'll go off. Anna, I've got you. You know how to do it. Thank you. Ashley? Ashley, you're on mute. Thank you. Bruce?
All that I can find is this thing here, which does that. Or
that's clapping.
That, or...
It's further along than the clapping. No, it's further along than
not on
that.
the iPad, it's not. Might be on a computer, but it's not on the iPad.
Okay, well, you can clap.
I can do that.
That'll be fine.
Let's do a smiley face. Or a thumbs up, or clapping, or...
Okay. There it is. You've got it. That's it.
Okay.
Whatever you did then's right.
But I've turned it off and it stayed on.
And you just click on it again to get it off. Yeah, it's gone now. There's a bit of a delay, so we have to take our time and just be patient. For Public Forum, it is a requirement that I advise all present that Public Forum is being live streamed, and your attendance at this meeting is taken as consent to the possibility that your image and or voice may be recorded and broadcast to the public via our live stream. So I now call on any declarations of interest. Is there any declarations of interest? No, and the General Manager will now outline the guidelines for Public Forum.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and welcome everyone. And welcome Jan as our only public speaker today. The public forum, I think Daniel's run through most of that with you already. It requires speakers to speak for a maximum of 5 minutes on their presentation. And then the councillors are free to ask you questions after that time. You have a minute to answer each of those questions, and you can also choose whether it's entirely up to you. All public speakers are required to stay on subject that they've actually asked to speak on. In this case, it's actually the report on the dogs for the Shire. We ask that any public speakers refrain from any derogatory or defamatory matters towards staff, other community members or councillors. And Daniel, you might just, I'm assuming the timing is going to be up for me, Daniel, or not?
I won't be able to project the timer because we have a full screen presentation, but I will run it on my phone and I'll let you know when there's a minute to go.
Yep. So Daniel will let you know when 4 minutes are up and you've got another 60 seconds. Back to you, ma'am.
So this evening we have one public forum speaker, which will be Jan Eason. She'll be speaking for item 9.2, dog walking access and signage review. So welcome, Jan. It's good to see you. Oh, well, yes, see you, I guess, in chambers again. Thank you, Jan.
Thank you, Liz.
I'm just loading the presentation.
You can start right now whenever you're ready and you've got your...
Well, there you go.
Okay. Righty, well, I'd like to say, Madam Mayor and Councillors, thank you for allowing us to come and speak today. I'm presenting on behalf of the Crescent Head Dog and Walkers Group. It was formed at a public meeting in January. We're supported by a petition signed by over 500 local people and visitors. We've done some research into sand mining in this area, interviewed people with up to 18 years employment in the industry, and we've paid the local historical society for research documents. We've participated in meetings with the National Parks and Wildlife Service, the Kempsey Shire Council General Manager and staff, and contacted all 9 councillors and the Honourable Melinda Pavey. We speak in favour of the review, but not in favour of all options that are being presented. Make it clear that I'm not going to have enough time to go through all 11 slides in the 5 minutes. I've given permission for copies to be given to each of the councillors or any other interested person. I'll refer to specific graphics, and the slides that are the most important will be slide 2, slide 3, slide 5, 7 and 8. Our goals, we have 5 of them. The first goal is to seek regazetting of Killick Beach south and including the Richardson's Crossing entrance from National Park to Regional Park. Goal 2, to allow dogs off leash on Back Beach, which is Goolawa, south of the 4-wheel drive access, which has been the practice for the last decades. Goal 3, to have council redefine dog walking regulations for town, beach and bridge access with improved and simplified signage. Goal 4, for council to nominate legal dog walking areas in and around Crescent Head in addition to the beach. And goal 5, to seek for council to mandate that all dogs must be leashed for bridge crossings to and from the beach. We endorse the council's recommendations on signage and accept that approximately 75% of the signage is inaccurate, and council has recognised that and is planning to do something about it. We want more access to national parks and the managed areas, but we understand that advocating with National Parks and Wildlife Service is not enough. They are operating under legislation, and it would be unfair to ask members of the staff to breach rules and to break laws. So we believe that regazetting is the only option that we have. we need to take the national park areas from Richardson's Crossing back to Crescent Head, and from Big Knobby back to Racecourse, back as regional park, and we accept that the National Parks and Wildlife Service will manage the regional parks under those terms and conditions. We have 4 main points. Our points are about regazetting, and we're not in favour of funneling all beachgoers over a single entry point on the bridge, or restricting public access to Crown Land, which is Killick Beach, from Richardson Crossing down to Crescent Head. And we're not in favour of the lack of recreation space. Council has offered the soccer fields. We're not in favour of that. The soccer fields are used extensively in winter during pre-COVID. There's been a lot of money spent on the lighting for nighttime use, and they're sporting fields. We ask for Roo Park to be considered instead of the soccer fields. We support this improved signage, and we ask for more areas outside the transit zone, from Muddy Arm, the sand flats at low tide, and we provide information about Goolawah Beach being twice intensively sand mined, and for Killick Beach from Richardson's Crossing 1 to 2 kilometres south, and from Muddy Arm, the floodgates to Lake Street have all been mined. The map that's on the slide at the moment shows it's a national parks map, and it shows that the most ecologically sensitive areas of those discussed today are from Richardson's Crossing to Hungry Head. We ask Council to consider our request and to support us in seeking regazetting of those 2 areas with the Minister. I'm done. I'm out of time. Yes.
Thank you, Jan. Oh, I thought I couldn't. You had finished? Yes?
I have finished, yes.
Any questions? Thank you. Okay, I can't see any hands. Yes, I have. There's Councillor Baxter, and then we'll take Councillor Hall.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Go ahead, Councillor Baxter, and ask your question.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mark.
Thank you for that presentation, Jan. That was wonderful.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me, Liz? Liz?
I think we've lost Liz.
I can't hear you, Councillor Baxter.
Can everyone else hear me?
I can hear you now.
Yes, Mark.
I can hear you, Mark.
Thank you, Jan. Well, can I just ask you, out of those 500 people that attended your meeting, would you say the majority of them used Back Beach, that empty 7-kilometre beach around the back of Crescent Head, to walk their dogs, or is that seen as a feature of the 500 people at Crescent Head who seek some therapy walking their dogs on that deserted beach? Would you say the majority do that?
There are not 500 people attending the meeting. The 500 people have signed a petition supporting the stand for the regazetting. What you're talking about is that most people want to go onto the back beach and go south from the 4-wheel drive track. The National Parks and Wildlife Service are indicating that they're going to restrict access on that track. They're going to increase the area that you cannot walk north to the National Park boundaries, and that they're going to seek council to endorse the trip down Skyline Crescent onto the back beach to the only Crown land section at Big Nobby, which is totally unfeasible. There's no parking, and it's too hard for the residents of Crescent Head, a lot of whom are aged. Back Beach National Park will tell you that the birds, the endangered species birds and the turtles have not returned. And when people go to a beach and they know it's a dog beach, they expect dogs to be there. They don't go to Front Beach in Crescent Head and expect the number of dogs that are in what you're calling the transit zone now. And they're not happy about it, and it's not fair.
I agree. So would you say...
Is this your second question, Councillor Baxter?
Thank you, Chair. Would you say, Jan, that in the 20-odd years you've been living at Crescent Head, that the accepted custom has been to leave Front Beach for people who want to swim and sunbathe, and dog owners deliberately take their dogs away from there to Back Beach or up at Richardson's, and let the people who, with their families, who want to sunbathe or swim in the creek? Would you say that's been the accepted custom for the last 20, 25 years?
Okay, Councillor Baxter, I've lived in Crescent Head for over 40 years, and I'd have to agree with you. I'd say that many families, including First Nation people, live in the Lake Street Loftus Road area, and they use the sand flats at the back of Muddy Arm in low tide. That most people prefer to take their dogs down Richardson's Crossing and walk from Richardson's Crossing back to Back Beach with their dogs off lead. It's very problematic, no matter how well trained your dog is, to try and get your dog funneled across that bridge with so many young children and so many people using that beach during peak holiday time. And Back Beach has been traditionally the area that most people take their dogs. Anyone from Crescent Head will tell you that north of the four-wheel drive access track is the best swimming, surfing and safest part of Back Beach to swim, and families for decades have been going there. They don't expect to come here now and find dogs at that end of the beach.
Thank you. That's right. A third question, Chair. Is that all
Your
right?
third question?
Yes. Jan, were you aware of what happened to Vic at the Chinese restaurant chef in the creek last year, where a dog swimming in the creek came up to him and lacerated his body quite severely with the dog paddle and everything? Are you aware that happened in the creek last year?
I am aware of that, Mark, and that's part of the reason why I believe we have so much support from the grassroots in Crescent Head. And we have a lot of support from people like Ross Foster and the Surf Lifesaving Club. You have people who are volunteer lifesavers. It's unfair and unreasonable to be asking them to go into that transit zone and try and move people on with their dogs. The transit zone I can understand for a quick movement through with dogs on leash, but even that is problematic. We would really like to get dogs away from that area during peak holiday time, to come in through Lake Street and to come in through Richardson's Crossing and to use Back Beach, or to use Roo Park. We understand, and Council has informed us, that all of the little coastal villages are short on recreation parks, and that you can't take your dogs on sporting fields. And so Roo Park for us is the most suitable park. It needs to be repurposed. It's not used as a sporting field.
Is that? Can I ask a fourth question, Chair? Is that the oval just before the primary school you're talking about?
That's correct. That's locally referred to as Roo Park. The part that's been put aside by council is the soccer fields, and pre-COVID they were used all through winter for soccer, and there's a huge lighting system up there for a sporting venue. And I don't know whether you realise, but here's a plug. It's got an awful lot of bindies in the ground on that soccer field. And it gets in the dog's paws and it gets in people's shoes.
Yeah, but the park, the oval before the primary school hasn't been used for sporting for over 20 years, 30 years, has it?
Thank you, Councillor. Is this another question?
Well, that was the question. It hasn't been used, the oval before the primary school.
Councillor Horval. Your question, Councillor Horval.
Councillor Horval will need to unmute.
I'm unmuted. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jan, for your presentation. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Thank you. According to the National Parks and Wildlife Service website, and I've already talked to Council about this, there's one part of it that says if you're travelling through a national park, you can have your dogs inside the car. But according to the local national parks, they've got a bylaw or rule that says you can't. Is there any way we can unpick or change that law?
I don't know that we could change that law. We certainly can take the game to National Park by re-gazetting, because once we take that land back to Regional Park, of which there are 21 of them in the state, it's not rocket science, and we already have one here at Goolawah. We'd just be asking for an extension. But I believe that what you said, National Park acting outside their authority, because Loftus Road is a public road and Richardson's Crossing empties onto Crown land. And national parks only have access from the high tide mark. They don't own the beach. They can't take the beach. It belongs to the Crown and it belongs to the people. And what's happening at Crescent Head is national parks have taken authority over the beach as well as the park. And I don't believe that's right, and any research that we've done supports our actions and our beliefs on that.
Thank you very much. You talked about sand mining earlier too. You've actually got in your slide.
You have another question, do you, Councillor Horval?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Thank you. Can I ask, please? Hello? Can you hear me, Jan?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, thank you. I was just going to ask about the point you made about the beach area or the environment south of Richardson Crossing to Crescent Head being the least environmentally friendly, or importance, least environmental importance. With the twice sand mining in the area near Back Beach and the entrance there, would that also be of low environmental value to national parks?
Yes, I perhaps didn't make myself clear. Goolawah Beach is the most economically, environmentally insensitive beach in our area because it's been sand mined twice, and then close to that is Richardson's Crossing back to Killick Beach, and national parks have indicated and they have mapped the area and they have provided the map to support that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, there's no other questions. Thank you, Ethan. That ends our public forum for today. And the councillors who are remaining online or in